Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Realtor Nation podcast, episode 10. My name is Ian Hoover, and I am the host of this podcast, and I'm very excited to bring to you the Realtor Nation, a show to improve your business. 87% of real estate agents fail. It's time to change that. The people I bring on this show are here to help you improve your business. They either are very successful in what they do, or they do something very unique to bring something to your business. I'm also looking for more people to interview on our show. If you're interested in coming on, please shoot me an email with your resume to ian@ianhoover.com. Today is a very special episode. We're going to be talking about wholesaling versus being an agent with our special guest, Mike Pastor. Before we get started, I want to take some time to talk about his impressive resume. Mike's the founder of the Property Wiz, his wholesaling business since 2014, and he's wholesaled over 60 properties. He also has his license since 2015 and hangs with a property management firm. He does some flipping on the side and owns a small rental portfolio as well. Very cool. So without further ado, let me bring to you Mike. Welcome in, Mike.
Hey, Ian. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on, man. I appreciate it. So I'm very excited about this episode. I wanted to make this podcast because I feel like there's a lot of agents out there who are leery of wholesalers and don't really understand it. And really, I think wholesalers get a bad rap when that's not the case. You guys have a business you're running, and I think that agents and wholesalers can work very well together.
Right.
So I want to start by talking about your journey. How did you get into real estate?
So back in, I'd say 2013-ish, I was kind of, I've been in corporate IT for over a decade, and I kind of advanced to the highest level that I could get to. Pay-wise and, management-wise. And so it was like, and I was just spending so many hours on the phone, every day, and it was just tying up my life. So I kind of, went out there searching for something else. And I had a couple, not failed businesses, but I looked for a couple different types of businesses like restaurants and stuff like that didn't really work out or I lost interest in. So that at that point, that's when I found real estate. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. I can set up a rental portfolio to bring in passive income and stuff like that, and not, just have my time, my freedom to do what I want. And that's the ultimate goal, but as you know, it's hard work too. So
it is, yeah. Nothing in real estate's easy, and the people that are good at it definitely work their butt off for sure.
Yeah.
So most of your business is wholesaling, is that correct?
At this point in time, yes. I would say probably about 90% of my business is wholesaling. Yeah.
Okay, so for the people out there that don't know, what is wholesaling?
So wholesaling is basically going out and finding a deal and now this is the key here. This is the key. So you need to have your contracts in place and get the place under contract. Okay. You are entering into an agreement with a seller for the disposition of their property, basically. And on the other side, I mean, you have that deal in place, and basically you align a buyer with a seller and collect a fee for doing that. Now, like you said, there are a lot of wholesalers get a bad rap. I think that some of that is warranted because there's a lot of wholesalers out there that don't do it legally. So that's probably, people that have a bad opinion of wholesalers, they've probably come across some of those.
Yeah, almost. People. I mean, I think every industry has the pseudo used car salesman type people in there that just do anything they can to make money. And it's unfortunate. There's agents that are like that too. I mean, you just have to kind of move around those people and do the best you can to serve your clients. Yeah. So you also have your license. Why did you decide to get your real estate license?
So, well, that was my first step in getting into real estate, was getting my license. I wanted to learn as much as I could about it. I wanted to learn, the legal side, and just, how things operated. So I got my license back in, I think it was 2014, and let it expire in 2015. And then I started getting more heavier into investing and realized that that's a good thing to have. So I can have access to the MLS and things like that. So I renewed it, and I actually had joined up with a broker, property management broker that allows me the freedom to just pay my monthly dues and hold the license there.
Very cool. So the reason why you wholesale compared to just becoming an agent and listing the property for sale, what would that be?
Well, I would say the income potential is one thing. The second would be freedom as well. So there's a lot of work as being an agent. I don't like paperwork, lots of paperwork, and it's a lot of driving around and appointments here, late nights, writing contracts up and stuff like that, which wholesalers do too. But I kind of have built the business so that I have been able to step back from that and not do that as much.
Very cool. So have you ever listed a property for sale as an agent?
I have not, no.
Okay. So you've never actually performed the agent duties. You just use it for MLS access.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you also invest in properties, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So is that like your main goal? So you're using wholesaling to be able to buy more investment properties for your long-term growth, or what is your goal?
Yeah, absolutely. So wholesaling, you get chunks of cash that are it's not all that consistent, by the way. So when you get chunks of cash, you can invest it into my goal is to invest it into passive income rentals. Ideally, I'd like to start getting some bigger multi-units. I'm in duplexes to quads right now. That's kind of my level. So I'd like to get up to some bigger buildings, not just in Pittsburgh, but in a couple markets around the country.
So I get this question a lot from people mostly from people that I first meet that are thinking about using my services as a real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And they find out that I'm an investor as well. So you probably keep most of the good deals for yourself, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it depends where they're at on location wise too. So, I mean, if I have, which I do shortly, and I might have to tell you about this one too. There's a good prospect in Bethel Park right now that we're working, and it's got quite a bit of meat on the bone. That's too far for the construction contractor contacts that I have. That's quite a haul for them. So, I mean, it's going to cost me more to do it, to get the job done. So, I mean, it depends on location. Like I'm out in the eastern suburbs here. So if I have something come up around here that is a good flip opportunity, I'll jump on it in a heartbeat.
Okay. So, I mean, mine is the opposite way, right? So I wear my agent hat first. Mm-hmm. So I look at my investing as my side business. So, okay. So if I have a client in front of me and they ask me that question, mm-hmm. I usually, I say, look, I have to put food on the table and a roof over my head for my family, which means you come first, not me personally. So, right. But as a wholesaler, you're just doing deals, whether you're doing deals for yourself or doing deals for other ones. So ones that don't fit into your round hole, you're wholesaling off to other people and still making money, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yep.
So what's your favorite thing about our business?
Uh, so my favorite thing in the business is marketing. That's kind of what I'd say I'm best at, and what I like doing best. So
Marketing, like social media marketing, or
everything. I do everything from direct mail to social media. I dropped out of paid advertisements online for the last 6 months or so because it's starting to get insanely expensive.
I've
Um,
heard that.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, you name it, I'll probably do it.
That's very cool. So what's
Yeah.
your least favorite thing about our business?
The least favorite thing is, well, as I mentioned before, paperwork. Yeah. So, I mean, right now I have my CRM system basically can automate most of the paperwork, which I love. So that really saves me a lot of time and effort and headache trying to get contracts out, take them to sellers, have them sell it. Now, I mean, with I'm sure you probably use some kind of electronic signing software. You know,
Yep.
that with that built in, you know, that capability and integration built into my CRM, I'm able to just click a button, it fills it out, sends it to them for signature, and boom, you're done.
Wow, very cool. So you actually use a CRM software as a wholesaler.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. That's really cool. Maybe we'll get into that here in a little bit.
Cool.
So this might be a bad question to ask because you're a little different than the people I'm usually interviewing on the show. I like to ask this question because it shows you how hard people in the industry really work. But I think that you're kind of trying to balance that work life more than a typical real estate agent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, what does a typical day in the life of Mike look like?
Okay, so typical day is I'll usually wake up anywhere from maybe 6 to 7, and I'll get up and have some breakfast, and then I'll jump on the computer, go through some emails, and I actually keep a like a task list, a weekly task list for myself, to make sure, you know, I'll sit down either Sunday night or Monday morning and put like an action item list together for the week. And I'll you know, each morning I'll look at that list and see, you know, what I want to get done today and have at it. And then, you know, I'll mid morning, I'll stop working for a bit and hang out with family a bit, you know, 10:30 around that time. And then have some lunch and go to the gym. And afternoon is usually my time where if I have to go out on appointments, I'll go out, you know, during that time. And then that's about it. Yeah. Hang out and just chill in the evenings.
Sounds like a pretty nice setup you got there. I like it. So in our industry, 87% of real estate agents fail, and you deal with a lot of real estate agents from a different point of view. Why do you think that they fail?
That's a good question. I would say probably lack of, I don't know if it's lack of effort, but, you know, maybe it's people that don't do their homework and, you know, overpromise and underdeliver to their clients. You know, by doing that, you could get a bad rap, and as an agent, when you have a bad rap, you know, your listing numbers are going to decrease for sure. So, yeah, I think that might be something that contributes to that.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think that could contribute for sure. I mean, if you have a bad reputation, people just don't want to sell their house with you.
Yeah. And plus, I think there's a lot of big names out there too, that seem to just continually get tons of listings. They have a huge marketing budget, and their name is just everywhere you look, you know, park benches, billboards, stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, those guys are getting a lot. I imagine those guys are getting a lot of listings, and you know, for the little guy that comes in, starts out, you know, it could be quite daunting. for that.
You have to prove that you're going to work harder than that agent that's on the billboard, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So if you were to start over again, what changes would you make to your business? If we went back to 2014, what would you do differently?
Well, I would kind of lay the foundation of my business differently. So where I'm at right now, the systems that I have in place, if I could go back to 2014, implement everything at that time, I would have saved so much money in time, Yeah, it's, there was a lot of experimenting over the last 3-4 years, and trial and error with software, with people, and different methods of marketing. And I think right now, it's kind of it's kind of a well-oiled machine. So it's if I could go back and just start there where my business is with the foundation that I have now, that would be awesome.
Wow, that's great advice. And I mean, I think putting system in place early on is a very important step to your business. Yeah. And I'm probably one of the worst at it. I'm not a big. I like systems. I'm just bad at implementing them. So it's one of those things that they're very important. So I hope everybody listening takes that to heart and implements some good systems in place. So I think this is even more in your business than mine, but the saying I hear all the time in our business is you have to spend money to make money. Tell us the best free way that you generate business.
The best free way to generate business, well, for me, so I'm looking for, my target audience might be a bit different than a listing agent for sure. So, the best free way to generate business is to drive neighborhoods. Go drive around, take 3-4 hours, 3 days a week, drive around, look for tall grass, look for places in distress, just talk to people and, just say, hey, I'm looking to buy houses. Do you know anybody, and just, so you could build quite a substantial list for free by just doing that.
I love it. Driving for dollars is a big thing. As a real estate investor myself, I love driving for dollars. If I drive by somewhere that's got the tall grass, I get out and knock on the door. Like, what's it going to hurt?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing that you said that's key there is that you said, like, almost like you got shut down, right? You're driving for dollars. You're talking to people. Yeah. Do you know anybody, right? So that's, if you get shut down on your first attempt, the follow-up question shouldn't be like, okay, thanks, and walk away. The follow-up question should be like, oh, okay, well, do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell a property? Because that would be a great person for me to get introduced to. And then that can open up the door, and they're not expecting it. They're expecting you just to go away. Yeah. So it's a great thing for any industry to ask a follow-up question like that. It's very powerful.
Absolutely.
So for the marketing you do pay for, which I'm sure is a lot, what's your best return on investment?
I would have to say direct mail. Yeah, direct mail is probably the highest ROI. And I have gotten away from doing a whole lot of direct mail right now. So I'm probably only mailing, I would say maybe 1,500 to 1,700 pieces or homeowners a quarter. So I know there's wholesalers out there that are doing like 30,000 a month,
Wow.
Yeah. And, I don't do nearly that much. But the list that there's only one list that I mail to, it's my top secret list. So that it's, it's a smaller list. It's very, very targeted, and, it's definitely the best ROI.
So instead of mailing to the masses, like probably most wholesalers do, you've narrowed down a specific list of criteria, and that's what you mail to, and you have a higher success rate. So what's your what's your response rate? I think direct mail is usually like 3 to 5%. Is that about right? This
one's a bit higher. I would say 8 or 9. Yeah, 8 or 9%. And we are mailing them at least 3 times.
Okay. Yeah. The first one I'm sure probably doesn't work as well as the third one does. So.
Right.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. Well, our industry is changing so much by the day, it seems.
Yeah.
If you were to look at our industry, where do you think it's going to be in the next 10 years?
Well, honestly, I think it's going to be kind of like in the later 2000s. We're going to see another drop because real estate is cyclical, right? We're going to see a drop. I don't know if it's going to be that much, but right now it's I think there was somebody online the other day that was talking about this on Facebook in one of the investor groups that interest rates are hiking up a little bit and they're seeing less home sales. So might be the indication of a little downturn here in the market, but I think there's certain neighborhoods around the Pittsburgh area that will not see that big of a issue if we do have a downturn. The up and coming neighborhoods I think might withstand that pretty well. But and then after that it always seems to come back better, after a downturn, I guess, after the next 3-4 years after that.
Yeah. If you look at real estate over 100-year span, it always goes up, but there's always going to be these dips and flows as it's going up. And it's something that you got to keep an eye on. But if I look at what's happening in our industry, it seems like the loan programs are getting easier and easier, just like in 2006, 2007. The no-doc stuff's coming back. I just received a no-doc line of credit the other day. So you're starting to see the signs that are there that okay, maybe we're 3 to 5 years out here from a little, maybe not a complete crash, but maybe a little correction in the market. So I definitely think you're spot on with that. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to believe that you ever struggled, but I think we all struggle. We all get to a point where you face a wall and you probably thought about quitting. If you could go back in time and tell us about when you hit that wall and what you did to power through it, I think that would be really big for our listeners.
Yeah. So basically it was, so I had, this was like 2014, 15-ish. I had a couple flips under my belt. I had my first multi-unit rental property. And I wanted to kind of build like a automated wholesale business to bring in consistent chunks of cash each month. And so I started, really learning about wholesaling and trying to do it. And so I had my first, I think it was the first 11 or 12 properties that I had under contract. I couldn't get a buyer for it at all. So, and I think this happens to a lot of new wholesalers. And that's where, wholesalers can get a bad name too. And I know I probably contributed that to a bit when I first started too, because you're not doing the sellers any favor. You're hurting them actually, because you're tying up their property and, putting them in a bad spot because they just need to sell now, in most cases. I was sitting there with, 12 properties under contract, couldn't move them. And I thought they were great deals, but it was due to, I learned through that experience that location matters big time.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And, and this happened to be in Jeanette. So I had a nice portfolio in Jeanette that I think it was, I think the cap rate was nearly 32% that I was offering it at. And it was in a war zone, and it was, so it was a learning experience for sure that you need to focus on where people are buying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you definitely need to focus on area, and you need to know the prices. And
Yeah.
now, do you think partnering with another wholesaler would have maybe helped you in that circumstance, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I've learned also in the last 4 years or so that networking is huge. The power of networking is just amazing for this business. Sometimes if you have a property under contract that, you don't seem to have any buyers that want it, somebody else out there probably does. So if consistently, regularly talk to, other wholesalers and stuff, you kind of just, you can help each other out in those ways. And, by bringing buyers, and you're going to give up some of your profits, but that's a lot better than not being able to perform.
How important is goal setting to you?
Very important. Yeah, very important. I typically will do some goal setting in December each year for the following year, and I plan at least for once a month to review the goals and make sure that I'm on track. If I'm not, what do I need to do to correct it? At least once a month, I'm reviewing, the goals that I have for the year, and those are the bigger goals. I mean, the smaller goals, like I said, I make a action item list each Sunday for the week. So those are kind of like my goals on a smaller scale as well.
Very cool. So what is your 5-year plan then, since you're a big goal setter? Where are you going to be in 5 years?
5 years? I am going – well, you should have let me know you were going to ask that. I could pull my my sheet up. But I think, 5 years is to basically generate company revenue at $1 million plus, just wholesaling, and have – I think it was 7 or 8 employees, and myself spending 4 hours, or no, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think here. I think it was 10 hours or less a week in the business. So at that point, it would be kind of just almost hands off to where I can, look at flipping a lot more properties than I do now, and looking to acquire, rental assets too.
Very cool. That's some lofty goals, man.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. If you look at my goals, I got some pretty big ones over the next 5 to 10 years. So,
nice.
So I feel like mentors are very important. I'm lucky enough to be a partner with my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you had a mentor early on. Who was your mentor, and how did they help you?
So I had a few people from around the Pittsburgh area that I learned with, and a couple out of state as well. So there was a couple, through Pittsburgh area that I have learned a lot from, basically marketing and getting the foundational knowledge for marketing and contracts and stuff like that. And then I've worked with a couple guys out of state that I've, kind of just on a short-term basis, I've worked one-on-one with them that kind of elevated my marketing and my interaction with sellers and buyers as well.
Okay, so it sounds like you had a couple guys that were helping you out along the way. That's great. So what does retirement look like for you?
Retirement looks like for me, well, I mean, I love real estate. I don't know that I'll ever fully retire and just not look back. I'll always want to be looking for the next rental property or something. But retirement would be a good amount of travel. I'm older than I started having kids at an older age, so it's going to be like, by the time I retire, which is I'm hoping to be in the next 12 years. So I'll be spending a lot of time with kids and do some traveling and just popping in here and there on the business and just getting some deals here and there.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever retire either. I'll be doing something at some point somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, I had kids at an early age, so I'm going to have the luxury of when they hit high school or when they hit college years. I'm going to be probably in my early 40s, and
oh wow, nice.
Be able to enjoy life a little bit there. Not that I don't enjoy life with my kids, but it's a different type of enjoyment. So
yeah, definitely.
This question is the last question I typically ask before we go into our blitz round, and it's been about a 50-50 shot on whether it works or not. Tell us one of the funniest stories from your career in real estate.
Okay. So I got a call on this place in I think it was in McCandless. And so this lady's telling me about this house. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good deal. They wanted like $10,000 for it, or I think they wanted $10,000 for it.
In McCandless.
Like yeah.
Wow.
And I go out there and I'm like, it was a Saturday morning. I remember this so clearly. I get out of my truck and I walk up to the driveway. I had to park across the road. Go up to the driveway. There's two people with car doors open there, and they're putting on hazmat suits. And so I'm walking up in flip-flops and shorts, and I'm like, hi, I'm Mike. What are you guys doing? They're like, oh, you need to have something on if you go in there. And I was like, no, I'm not even doing that. They opened the garage door to the house, and literally there was a swarm of fleas and just all kind of bugs, and it just smelled like the worst thing I could ever imagine. And it's funny because one of the guys that I talk to regularly from Pittsburgh RIA had been in that house 2 days ago. I didn't know it, but he made a post on Facebook, something like, I was just in a house where I had to come home and take 3 showers. And so I didn't put 2 and 2 together until I got to this place. And it was unbelievable. And then the sad thing was, there was a sad part to this too. I walk around, I'm just walking the exterior, and I go around back and I hear somebody, saying something. And I was like, I think it was the person that I met's mother. She was still living in the house, and they had like 30 dogs, 40 cats or something, and it was just infested with fleas and who knows what else, man. And it was just, it was bad. But I do believe that they were able to move the property. I think there was a national wholesaler that came in and bought it or had somebody buy it. So it ended well for them too. So
I mean, that area, the land's probably worth more than $10,000. So absolutely. We've all been. I mean, if you deal with dilapidated properties like I do, we've all been in those properties where you're like, how did somebody live in this? It's just this is bad. I've been to a number of places where I'm just like, I don't even want to go in there because it's just nasty and and scary too. You don't know. I mean, you go into vacant houses in some neighborhoods. You're like, man, there might be somebody in here or a family in here. Yeah, that's why you got the concealed carry permit and you protect yourself.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're pretty much towards the end here. I have the same 5 questions I ask every person that comes on the show, and I believe they do fit for what you do as well. So I think it should work well. I call it the blitz round. So what is your favorite technology tool?
Favorite technology to what?
Your favorite technology tool.
Oh, tool. My CRM. You want me to name it?
If you don't mind.
Yeah, it's Podio. Yeah, I use Podio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I'm one of those people who probably should use a CRM, and I don't know. I use Excel spreadsheets, and I'm weird, but I do need to get to the 21st century with CRMs one of these days. What is your favorite real estate book?
That's a good question. Actually, it's not so much real estate related, but it could be heavily applied to real estate. And it's a negotiation book by a former CIA or FBI
Never Split the Difference.
Hostage negotiator. Yeah, Never Split the Difference.
I love that book. Yeah, it was tough to get through. I'm an audiobook listener, and it's kind of a dry book, but it's got a lot of great content.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. I actually just listened to that one last month. So
cool.
I definitely grabbed a couple things. I've been negotiating for a long time, and I took a couple things from that book that I've used already and going to continue to use.
Yeah. Fantastic book.
If you were not a wholesaler, what would you be?
A flipper.
Same realm.
Yeah, same realm. But if I wasn't in real estate, I'd probably still be in IT. Yeah.
You still be in IT? Okay, cool. What is your favorite hobby?
Fishing. Bass fishing. Yep.
Bass fishing. Okay. Yep. I know a couple big fishers.
Nice.
I've never really got into it myself. I decided to pick up golfing instead, which I'm pretty horrible at.
That's my second favorite hobby. Yeah.
All right. We'll have to go golfing one of these days. What is your dream vacation?
The Tuscan hillside in Italy. My wife and I were there in Italy, different regions for our honeymoon, and we spent a couple weeks out there, and it was just, I fell in love with it. It's just amazing and so cool to see, and the food is just better than you can imagine.
Well, that's great, because it's on our bucket list, because my wife's Italian and she wants to go. So
that's awesome.
Well, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on and spending a half hour with me, and I hope everybody got as much out of it as I do, and I look forward to continue building our relationship and working things out, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep killing it, buddy.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, and it was a pleasure.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
Well, Realtor Nation, another great interview. I hope you got as much out of it as I did. I really wanted to kind of get the wholesaling aspect. And for those of you who don't know what wholesaling is, it could be a way for you to find deals for your clients that are looking for investment property. So I highly recommend you get out there and start networking with some wholesalers. And they could end up being a huge part of your team. Or even being agents on your team down the road, because I think a lot of wholesalers could do a lot of agent stuff, and a lot of them do sell properties as an agent as well. So definitely look into that and try and further your education on wholesaling. For all other content, please visit our website, dhrea.com/learn. Until next time, this is Ian Hoover with the Deacon Hoover Radio Network, signing off.